guys. So news broke yesterday that Henry Cavill is indeed not returning to be Superman in the future of the DCU. I don't know what it's called. Basically, James Gunn is writing a new Superman movie that's going to focus on the earlier years of Superman, his first years at the Daily Planet, and his first years as Superman. Henry Cavill's Superman doesn't fit into that vision that James Gunn has for that script. Okay, this is just going to kind of like loop around to the whole already existing DC extended universe as a whole, because my thoughts on this are, I feel bad for Cavill. I really, really do. Henry Cavill has been shafted a lot as Superman. However, this entire DC extended universe has been a mess from the get-go. You could obviously tell that when Man of Steel came out in 2013, that DC tried very hard to play catch-up with Marvel. They made Man of Steel, and then their second movie in this universe was Batman vs. Superman: Dawn of Justice, which doesn't make that much sense to me. A friend of mine that I actually do a podcast with, he said it didn't make sense to him either, because here's why. It's like going from Man of Steel to Batman vs. Superman as your second movie in your universe is like going from Iron Man to Captain America: Civil War as your second movie in your universe. So it doesn't make all that much sense. And I have not been a huge fan of Cavill's Superman to this point anyways. And that's not to say that it's his fault. I used to put the blame on Cavill, and I don't think it is his fault. I think it's more in the vision of Zack Snyder. Now, this is where a lot of Zack Snyder fans are going to turn this video off and just run to the other corner and be like, restore the Snyderverse! This guy sucks! Yeah, I get it. I appreciate Snyder for having a different take on Superman, but I don't think that take on Superman was the correct take. I don't think we needed a darker, dreary, drabber Superman who didn't inspire hope. That's the thing. This Superman, Henry Cavill's Superman, didn't inspire hope until we got to the Snyder Cut. Maybe that was the point. Maybe that was Zack Snyder's whole thing. This was how Superman was going to be, and then he was going to die at the end of BVS, and then come back in the Snyder Cut, and then come back in Justice League, and that was when like the whole like hopeful, like more cheery Superman was going to come in. And that's essentially how I felt with the Snyder Cut. Like, watching the Snyder Cut after watching Cavill in these two movies, or at least this version of Superman, that was how I felt. I felt, okay, I can start to get on board with this version of Superman, and I'd be okay with Henry Cavill coming back. Sadly, things just haven't panned out. And honestly, the only reason we all went to go see Black Adam was for that post-credit scene where Cavill did come back as Superman. But now he's gone. Look, I'm just going to piece this together with how much of a mess this universe has been. Zack Snyder directed Man of Steel in 2013. Then they went to BVS. It didn't do all that well with critics. It didn't honestly do all that well at the box office. A movie starring Batman, Superman, and Wonder Woman, the holy trinity of DC, doesn't break $1 billion at the box office. Then you go from that to David Ayer's Suicide Squad, which is horrendous. Then you kind of show some hope with Wonder Woman, and then you just tank it again with the theatrical cut of Justice League. Here's how you know that this wasn't in the producer's best interests. So they just didn't care. Like, once Snyder made BVS and it got the reviews that it did and it made the money that it did, they knew he was out. Like, I don't think you have to do any research into that. Like, I'm just making that assumption, but I think that assumption is very clear. Or like, you're not coming back after Justice League. So the whole Snyderverse thing was kind of already up in the air, in my opinion, anyways. And then when he stepped away from Justice League in 2017, because of the death of his daughter, unfortunate accident, they brought in Joss Whedon, and they essentially just slapped Zack Snyder's name onto the director's credit so that he could be the scapegoat. Like, they knew that movie was going to be bad. They knew it wasn't going to make money. Justice League only made $93 million. $93 million opening weekend domestically for a Justice League movie. $93 million opening domestically for a Justice League movie. That is sad. That is super sad. And you could tell that they kept Zack Snyder's name on that director's credit so that he could be the scapegoat. And look, I'm not the biggest Snyder fan. I've said my pieces. I've been critical about Zack Snyder's vision for this entire thing. I didn't like his vision in Man of Steel. I really, really hated Batman versus Superman. You could tell with that movie, he wanted to make a Batman movie. Superman's barely in that movie, and the Batman that we get, I don't even like that Batman. I like Ben Affleck as Batman, but the material he's given I thought was ass. I feel like Zack Snyder's visions of these characters felt like a frat boy who read a comic book for the first time in his fraternity and said, I want to make a movie. But at the same time, you make him out to be the scapegoat. And not only that, I don't know how many reshoots Joss Whedon did. I mean, it was obvious he did a lot. So I think, what is it? If you shoot a majority of the movie, you're still credited as a director. So I think Snyder shot a majority of that movie. That's why he was still credited as the director. But it was obvious that they didn't care. That Walter Hamada, Jeff Johns, they didn't care. So he was still credited as the director. They left him to be the scapegoat. And they were like, yeah, so we're going to do some reshuffling after that. And their reshuffling was nothing. It was just, hey, like this producer stepping down to a smaller role. We're going to shift this guy over here. We're going to shift this guy over here. Nobody left. They didn't do what Marvel did. And that's the thing. You don't have to emulate exactly what Marvel's doing. But you need a guy, a Kevin Feige-like guy. Not Kevin Feige, but a Kevin Feige-like guy to be in charge, to put this universe forward. And maybe that was Zack Snyder at one point, and then they were just like, no, we don't like your vision and all that. So they kind of backed away from that. And, even going back to the beginning, I think it was when Batman vs. BVS came out, and they were like, they were trying to think of a name for the cinematic universe. Like, there were so many different names that people, like Jeff Johns was saying DC Extended Universe. Walter Hamada was saying, like, DC Universe. And the actors were saying the Justice League Universe. Snyder was saying the Zack Snyder Universe. Like, pick one. Pick one. That was an immediate red flag. When you don't have a name for your cinematic universe from the get-go, and everybody's just calling it some random, like, hey, this is Bob's Apple Orchard universe. That's an immediate problem, too. This whole thing has been a mess from the beginning. And then you had the whole thing where it's like, well, Ben Affleck's getting a solo Batman movie. And it's like, he's going to write and direct it, too. He's not only going to star in it, but he's going to do those two things. Then, he's not going to direct it now. Matt Reeves is going to direct it. Oh, wait, but now he's stepping away from writing, and now he's not going to be Batman. And then you have this whole Flash debacle with Ezra Miller, and what are the implications with that? And there's probably some more in between there that I'm missing. And then, obviously, Warner Brothers got hit with the pandemic. Every movie studio did, so that affected some stuff. And then you have Black Adam, where Dwayne Johnson is really thinking that he's like the creative consultant and creative executive behind this entire universe. He was the entire marketing for Black Adam, and the way he marketed Black Adam was, yeah, Henry Cavill's coming back as Superman. That's all it was, and it was only for one scene for like 30 seconds in the post-credits. Here's the thing, with the way Dwayne Johnson has been talking about Black Adam, which is a movie that I enjoyed for the most part. It's nothing great like Dwayne Johnson tells you it is. The thing is like, Cavill not coming back now, I don't put the blame on James Gunn. I don't put the blame on Peter Safran, who are now the heads of DC and are creating this DC universe and are now rebooting everything. That's the thing. I'll get to that in a minute. But, like, I don't blame them for not bringing Cavill back. It's not their fault. To me, it's The Rock's fault. Like, this man thinks that he was, like, this big creative consultant to be there for the fans, to bring Cavill back. Like, sure, he was probably the driving force behind it, especially since Cavill did deserve his own Superman trilogy. That's what I thought that this should have been from the beginning anyways. I thought that Man of Steel should not have been tied to a connected universe. It should have just been its own thing, like the Dark Knight trilogy. They should have done what they did with Batman. Just give Superman his own trilogy and then reboot it from there if you want to do that. I think a Zack Snyder Superman trilogy would have been interesting. At least I would have liked to have seen where he would have gone with a Man of Steel too. Because it's been rumored forever that there's been another Superman project in development, and the whole Henry Cavill situation thing has been really rocky, honestly, with this relationship with the previous regime. They didn't want to bring him back. They didn't want to make another Superman movie, or if they were going to make another Superman movie, they weren't going to bring him back. So Henry Cavill was kind of stuck in this are they, aren't they kind of type of situation. Then he went on to be in The Witcher, and then Dwayne The Rock Johnson brings him back for one scene, and Black Adam, and Henry Cavill's like, I'm back, I'm leaving The Witcher after season 3, I think it is, and Liam Hemsworth's going to replace me, and now it's like, well, I'm not back. And then before all that, Henry Cavill's probably like, where's my Man of Steel 2? Even though I'm not a fan of Zack Snyder's Superman and how this whole, characterization of Superman is played out with Cavill at the helm as Superman, the man got shafted. And I blame him not coming back on Dwayne The Rock Johnson. Like, it's clear that The Rock, like, when The Rock is making ridiculous statements that Black Adam turned a profit, and he's actually lying about it to save face because he knows that it didn't make profit, but he's The Rock, so he's one of the most popular actors ever, and the big hook to go see Black Adam was to see Henry Cavill. That's all The Rock's fault. And no, I did not react in the theater like this asshole. Feel bad for Henry Cavill. The man continually got shafted as Superman. He was never brought back. It felt like he was always kept out of the loop, and then he finally comes back, and now he's done. That sucks. But honestly, this whole DC thing needs a complete fresh reboot. And if that's the case, Ben Affleck isn't coming back. I highly doubt Gal Gadot is coming back as Wonder Woman, especially with the whole Patty Jenkins thing where her vision for Wonder Woman 3 didn't match up with what Peter Safran and James Gunn had planned for their new DC universe, which is they pick a name. They finally picked a name. They have a DC Studios, DC Universe. That's what it's going to be moving forward after, I believe, this next slate of movies that's coming out next year. And so that didn't fit in, so I highly doubt she's going to be back. Jason Momoa, I really like as Aquaman. He's not going to be Aquaman, but there is rumors that he's involved with Lobo, so he might be Lobo. Margot Robbie is Harley Quinn. I mean, I would love to see Margot Robbie continue to be Harley Quinn. I don't know how that's going to happen. And everybody's like, well, now they can bring Matt Reeves as Batman into the universe. No, keep Matt Reeves as Batman its own thing. That's a whole separate universe. I don't want to see Pattinson's Batman in this universe. Just, here's what I want. I want them to wait until this Batman trilogy is over, then recast Batman. That way we don't have two Batmans running congruently and nobody's getting confused. It's like, yeah, is that the one with Pattinson? No, that's the one with, Chuckle McChuck over there. Oh, okay, I don't want to watch that one then. I don't know who he is. Yeah, nobody does. That's my take on that. And then with now that we are getting a full DC reboot, the upcoming movies, they don't fucking matter now. Like, what is the point of going to see Shazam 2 when you know Zachary Levi is not going to be playing Shazam past this point? What's the point of going to see Aquaman and the Lost Kingdom when it's going to be the last Aquaman movie and it's going to build to nothing? What's the point of going to see The Flash because Ezra Miller's just an idiot, And, I mean, the only reason we have is to go see Michael Keaton as Batman, but that's going to be short-lived. Is he still in the movie? I don't know. I heard something that he wasn't in the movie now. Maybe that was Aquaman. I don't know. And then, like, Blue Beetle. Like, I don't care about Blue Beetle all that much anyway, so it's like, after that, that's where the reboot's going to start, I think, is that after all that. Watching the next 4 DC movies, I guess we'll complete the current DC extended universe, so we'll just have this universe of 18 movies that's going to amount to nothing. But, I am happy that that after all this goddamn time, after nearly, a decade, DC's like, yeah, we kind of fucked up. Like, you just realize that now. And I'm glad that they're getting a fresh reboot. It's what it needs. Oh, I'm sad to see a lot of these actors go. You kind of have to. I am relieved for people like Henry Cavill. Not in the way that it would be like, oh, thank God he's not playing Superman anymore. No, I'm relieved in the way that it's just like, thank God Henry Cavill doesn't have to play this game of whether or not he's coming back. He doesn't have to keep begging the studio. He doesn't have to come back in one movie only to be told he's not coming back, and then he doesn't have to worry about, not coming back in between all that and have to go to a TV show and then quit that TV show so he can come back and then he's not coming back. I'm just relieved that all that drama is going to be over. I'm relieved that all this Ezra Miller drama is probably going to be over. And with James Gunn at the helm, I think James Gunn, especially where he's worked with Marvel before, knows the ins and outs of the cinematic universe, so he's a good choice. Peter Safran, I don't really know his producing work all that much. I know he's produced the Conjuring movies, so He's got some producing credits. Like, they're the heads. They know what to do. They are the Kevin Feige's in DC Studios right now. It's a shame to see people like Henry Cavill go, Jason Momoa go, and Cavill definitely got shafted. But put the blame on the old regime and The Rock, in my opinion. I'm not blaming Zack Snyder. As much as I don't like his vision, it was what it was, and it somewhat won me over in the end with Superman. And I did like the Snyder Cut, despite being really, really self-indulgent. I mean, it's a lot better than the theatrical cut. I really hope that they just have this thing figured out now. Like, that they can just do this stuff in peace. That there's not going to be producers trying to release a movie so that they can get their Christmas bonuses or, shit like that. No more Walter Hamadas, thank God. Oh, and I gotta give a shout out to Ray Fisher. I think that man deserves more too. Ray Fisher definitely deserved more as Cyborg. But yeah, no more Walter Hamadas, no more Jeff Joneses. Just a complete reset of the DC universe, and I think it's in good hands under James Gunn and Peter Safran. So what are your guys' thoughts? Drop me some feedback in the comment section below. I'll leave my link to my website in the description below as well. You guys are the best. Thank you for watching. My name is Alex Madden, and I'll see you at the movies somewhere.